Hello, friends. So happy to have you here with us today at Radical Joy. If you've been here before, welcome back. If this is your first time with us, well, we're glad you're here. Each week, we're here with you talking about things that weigh on our minds and hearts, hoping if you're dealing with something similar, we can adjust our perspectives as you listen. The more people we meet and the more places we go, the more we realize how important it is to make people aware of the fact that there is no shame in enjoying the parts of our lives that are incredible. It's time for some radical joy, and this week the three fingers pointing back at us are for looking forward and being present. Here's my question. Let's just go ahead and jump right into it. What do you look forward to? What on the agenda, what on your calendar are you looking forward to? Okay. Now, this can be of any size, of any import. It can be literally anything. Is it a get together with friends? Is it coffee? Is it dinner? Is it a big trip? The Adventure Dudes, Andrew and I, are on our way to Kenya and Tanzania in a couple of weeks, and I am so looking forward to that. Is it a holiday? Is it Christmas? Is it vacation? What is it you're looking forward to? Now, after you've answered that question, my next question is this. They go hand in hand. And I want you to sort of think of them as parallel thoughts and a sort of way to be both looking forward and being present. How do you remain present in the things that need to get done today? Perhaps in something that is a task, a chore, work, labor, what have you. How do you remain present to give the most of yourself in that moment and still look forward? You see what I'm asking here? Do you see what I'm saying? This is one of those things where I don't know what is about to happen. I just know that those two things have given me just a little bit of trouble in the last few months, last few years, basically my entire life. If I'm looking forward to something, I feel as though the present moment is a drudge. I feel as though it has to be a chore or a task that has to be overcome instead of the current moment that needs to be lived fully and realized completely before moving on to the next, before moving on to the next, before moving on to the next, before eventually I'm at the thing that I've been looking forward to. I want to make sure that I fill that time that I am the worker, the employer, the family member, the community member, where I still need to remain present and active and very much connected. And also over the moon excited about whatever it is that's coming next that I'm excited about doing, what I'm looking forward to doing. How do we keep those two things running parallel? Instead of just sort of like willing yourself into the new and wonderful that's waiting and just sort of like running on empty or sort of going through the motions of what needs to be done right now until we get there. This is my problem. This is what I realize and am trying to overcome as something that I'm dealing with currently. And so I'm just sort of like putting it out there. And I'm hoping that the more that I sort of like meander through this and look toward doing something better or more effectively, that eventually me talking to all of us is going to get us to something a little bit more clear by the end of our time together today. I need to start looking at things in my life that I have to get done to make sure that the money gets made, to make sure that bills get paid and everybody gets fed on time as something that's still part of a good thing. Now, I know I am wildly fortunate because I get to do jobs, quote unquote, in my life that make me very happy and pay the bills relatively easily. The social media job is one that sometimes I find to be a little bit of a challenge just because it moves so quickly. And because sometimes whenever I'm not in a place where I can do it as easily because maybe the internet isn't great or because I don't have the kind of time that I would like to have to devote to it to produce a product that I think the quality would make me a proud creator, sometimes I will just put it off entirely. And that's not great. That's not great. And I realize that. I don't like putting a sticker on it. Y'all know we don't love labels around here. It's just that the more time that I dedicate to it, the better my quality product becomes, which usually almost always leads to sort of a dovetail into more quality production, into more money, into higher ratings, into more watch times, all these kind of things that play into what we want to see as effective content creation professionals. And then there's me as the singer. There's me on tour in Canada, and there's me having a great time and, making choices. I'm just like, oh my God, we've only got X amount of time before I have to be back on the bus, and I've got to make sure that I'm this, that, and the other thing, and da 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 da. And I want to make sure I study my language, and I want to make sure I do my journal, and I want to make sure that I get to the gym, and all these kind of things. And then you've got to deal with crappy hotel gyms. Oh my gosh, you want to talk about the most overlooked amenity in a stay? That would be it. Sometimes you go to these places and they might have like one Yankee old janky terrible elliptical machine that whenever every time your right foot goes down it makes a clunk clunk clunk. They have, or sometimes like the heaviest dumbbell is going to be a set of 50s, or sometimes it's not even that heavy. It's like a set of 30s. I'm like, what am I supposed to do with a pair of 30s? I can't even get a good thruster workout with that. Listen to me. Just first world problem bitching over here. It's also one of those things that plays into me just trying to get through my current moment into getting the part that I'm looking forward to. Now, while I'm on tour, that may be getting together with friends that live somewhere in one of the cities that we're touring. It may be getting through to payday because God knows we love whenever that money goes up on a Thursday afternoon, don't we? Oh, yeah. Or maybe it's just the next meal that we get to share with the people we love, because I am unfathomably blessed to work with people with whom I genuinely get along and enjoy their company. How great is that? How lucky am I? When I go to my journal every day, whenever I write there, there are certain phrases that always end up in there. Always. One of those in my journaling practice is, I am so unbelievably lucky. Everything works out for me. And it's one of those things where, A, I want to give gratitude for the fact that so much in my life is something I truly enjoy. Whenever I put that signal into the world, there are ears listening. There are hearts and souls that hover around me, looking to conspire for my success, for all of our successes, if we give them permission. And I offer thanks and I continue to ask for more. Well, aren't you just a selfish mother? Well, call it what you want to, Mildred. What I am is grateful for what I've got. And I'm not so foolish to think that that was just like a pinhead, a quantity that is so infinitesimally small, so minuscule in the grand sweep of things, to think that I couldn't ask for more. That's crazy to me to think that the universe in all her abundance can't continue to bless me so unbelievably heavily as long as I continue to say, I loved that. Could I have more, please? She's like, oh, cool. Thank you. All she needs is the signal, y'all. That's all there is to it. She just needs the flipping signal. It's one of those things where I continue to think on those sorts of things. I'm like, well, is your life good because you continue to put yourself in a place of appreciation for the good that continues to happen in your life? Is it your perspective? Or is it the signal that you're putting out continues to let forces know that you want more of the same? I don't know. And quite frankly, I don't think that's an important question to ask. I'm just real happy that it keeps happening. I keep signaling the gratitude and I continue to ask for more. And it keeps coming. And I think that is the kind of attitude in my life that helps keep me present in the things that are going on that I would consider more work than enjoyment. I'm lucky that I think a lot of my work overlaps with my enjoyment. Not always. It won't. There are certain things in tour life, there are certain things in social media production that are really a drag. I hate arriving back to the hotel at 11:30 and then leaving at 6:30 the following morning because we have to do that in order to make some of our connections. That's just the way that goes sometimes. Later on in the tour, there will be a time when we have 2 or 3 days off in a row, in a really fun town, in a beautiful hotel, maybe all of the above. Fantastic. We roll with that as well. In social media, it could be one of those things where I just hit a dry spell and just like, I would rather chew live bumblebees than have to ask another riddle on camera. Okay. Just If you were to separate that and just look at that for how unbelievably simple that is maybe 10 to 15 seconds out of my day where I want to grouse about it instead of just doing it. How silly, how absolutely ridiculous and terrible. Oh my word. Are you for serious right now, Bullard? I'm going to need you to get up off your butt and do it. Fair. Fair. And I think a lot of things in our life are very similar to that. Instead of remaining present and literally just sort of like commando crawling through what we consider to be a drudgery, which other people would consider to be a walk in the park, I think we need to kind of focus on that. And it's not that we need to compare it. Like, I don't want to say, well, you got it so easy or this is so hard or da da da. No, that's not at all what I'm saying. You know that old adage whenever people say, if you were to take your problems and put them in a pile, alongside everyone else's problems, if you were to see them all side by side, comparatively speaking, you would run, not walk, to grab yours to pick them back up again, knowing how good you've got it. Why is that? Well, number one, I think that the problems we have, I don't think that anybody gets much more than they can handle. And if they do, I pray they get the kind of help they need to handle it, to carry it, to tote it. So, the problems that we do have, I think that we have developed over a number of days, weeks, months, years, where we have a particular set of skills that help us handle those. So, whenever we look at those problems, we run to grab them back up again because we know we can face them effectively. And that is enormously comforting. It's not great, it may not be easy. I am prepared. I am uniquely qualified. And that helps keep me present for something like that. I think, again, we have to continue to check in with ourselves to make sure that we continue working at being good people. Part of that is being present. And sometimes that's the whole list. Okay. Yes, I can look forward to going to Africa. Yes, I can look forward to going to Paris. Yes, I can look forward to touring Australia and New Zealand. The yeses continue to stack. The looking forward continues to grow. I must not forget that there is an abundance in the right now as well. The thing is, those are knowns. Okay. And I think that's really interesting because again, this is one of those things where I just trust the process. We just start talking, and where is it going to take us? I don't know. And quite frankly, I don't care because I know that whenever we start talking like this, we continue to walk through these sorts of things. And as I sort of talk my way through it and into it and around it, I'm hoping that whenever I'm talking like this, that it will also sort of take you on a stream of consciousness situation where you can figure out what it is in your life that the present is also a gift. Ooh, I love this turn of phrase. I do, I do, I do. Let me see how does it go? Um, Yesterday is, oh gosh, what is it? I wish I could, there's this wonderful old adage that I used to love to say, and it would make a couple of my friends groan. But I loved it. It was just like tomorrow, no, yesterday is history. Tomorrow is a mystery, but today is a gift. That's why we call it the present. And I love that. And it's funny too, because how things exactly are going to happen in tomorrow, we don't really know. We have things that we have a very good idea are going to come to pass. Whether or not that's going to happen, you know what? We're not guaranteed anything. The thing that I have learned this year more than just about anything else is the fact none of us are guaranteed tomorrow. I don't say that as a morbid thought. I say that as the fact that life is unpredictable at any age. And so to think that you have this entire lifetime ahead of you, though positive, and I support that wholeheartedly, please don't rely on that too heavily. One just never knows exactly what waits in the hallowed halls of tomorrow. Okay. I have friends that have been diagnosed with sicknesses and illnesses I would never have thought. I have been so unbelievably grateful for the health and strength and good experiences I've had in my health in recent years. You know, none of us are getting any younger. And whenever I stand up, whenever I get up out of bed in the morning, yeah, my lower back aches. Yeah, my knees pop and crack. Okay, super. That's just the way that goes. When you reach a certain age, it's just expected. Now, we can do things to ward it off. We can do things to continue to build health around those parts of us. They continue to age in a way that was fully expected. So, what do? We take steps. We drink our collagen. We make sure that we remain active. We sometimes wear braces if we're going to be doing something really rambunctious on a stage or in real life or at the dance party following the wedding. Okay. You know to expect something, so you take steps in the present to make sure that the safeguard is for the future. It seems really, really pretty commonsensical when we start to talk about it. Pardon me. Okay. So, in an effort to look forward, we have to make sure that steps are taken in the present to safeguard our happiness and health for the future. Okay, like right now, I know whenever we go to Kenya, Tanzania, if I had not already gotten my yellow fever vaccination, I would need one, but I'm covered. There are other vaccinations you can take for sort of extra layers of protection. I've learned in the past that sometimes that's just what you find on the internet because someone suggests that so somebody can make a dollar. I got no problem. There's nothing wrong with safety and taking precautions. What I am saying is that I already have what is 100% absolutely necessary to make sure that I safeguard my safety whenever we get to Africa. Also, something we've learned in our travels. If you decide you need something else while there, you can go to a clinic there and get it for a fraction of the cost that you would here in the United States. Okay, great. Living in the present, making plans for the future. Knowing from past experiences what needs to be done right now, what needs to be planned ahead, and also what needs to be just kind of like put on the back burner because there are other matters more pressing. Work, I don't want to call it a necessary evil because I don't think it's evil. I think there's a lot of satisfaction to be gleaned from doing a job well done. From doing a job well. That's what I should say. I was like, wait, something's redundant there. Got it. It always makes me just giggle to myself because sometimes people will say, people don't want to work anymore. It's really hard to get people to work the way they did back in fill in the blank era. I was like, when did people ever want to work? Right? I mean, yeah, there's absolutely satisfaction in a job well done once it's done. And then there's part of me that's just like, there are so many little plays on words and little memes and things that you're just like, darling, I do not dream of labor. And it makes me laugh. I'm like, yeah, exactly. I don't. And there are certain things that need to get done. And there are certain people who have a very specific set of skills that love doing those kind of things because they know that that is their part in this grand machine of humanity. And I love that for them. And I think we all have something like that. And for some of us, doing that work is also a whole lot of fun. It provides an enormous layer of satisfaction. Wonderful. Remaining present, focusing on the job at hand, making sure we don't get ahead of ourselves and wishing away our time. Oh, I can't wait until. Geez, I wish I could. So many of these things, I'm just like, ooh, I'm always so careful with that nowadays, especially now that I'm not 20 anymore. you know, those kind of things, they come in here and you're like, yeah, I don't want to wish away any more time, especially now that I've seen that people who may have in their younger years are now, they'd give anything to have some of that back. And not that I think that every moment should be productive or spent doing something that a lot of other people consider productivity or adding to or making sure that the job gets done. Okay. I'm a big proponent of work life balance. I am much better at the life sometimes than the work. Please pardon me. And that stresses me out too. And so it just continues to be one of those things where, all right, what I need to do is buckle down and do the work, 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 capital W times three, and then make sure that I schedule things so that all of these things can be very specifically done well. And so whenever I'm away doing this life part, that the work is still working. Job flexibility, working from home, working remotely. Those are only the things that I ever always wanted. And now I've got them as long as I've got an internet connection. I was like, oh, and still I give it back burner. I'm like, oh my God, I'm going to have to learn to be better. That's just all there is to it. And that is part of the being present. It as a kid, you always wish so much of this away for a magic fast forward button, when I wanna I wanna grow up. I wanna be, I wanna date. I wanna have a car and be able to drive. I wanna smoke cigarettes. I wanna drink. I wanna do any of these things that always seem to have like an age requirement on them. And then you get there and you're like, oh, being a kid wasn't so bad either because now you got work and responsibilities and insurance to pay for and voting and taxes and I mean, it's just once you get there, it's hard to slow it down again. Once you get to vacation, it seems like time doubles. It goes so quickly, doesn't it? It just goes so fast. Which is why it's important to make sure that those days that aren't vacation days, that aren't holidays, that aren't those things that you look forward to doing, that they are still valued. We need that presence. We need that presence of mind and being and work so that we won't waste the days between one great to another great, one looking forward to event to another. And we get to fill those in the middle with a different kind of fullness. It's almost like it's like trail mix, you know? If you eat too many of the cashews, pretty soon all you got left in the bowl are like Chex squares and pretzels and maybe peanuts. Meh. You got those like low class nuts and then all the salty wonky left, like you've eaten all of it. You've got to take it by the handful. You can't just pick out your favorites because soon there ain't nothing left except the stuff you just don't want or have to settle to because you're starving. Well, that metaphor went a lot better than I anticipated, to be quite honest and frank with all of yous. It's like, well done, Bullard. Yeah, exactly. You keep picking out the good stuff instead of kind of throwing in a handful or a pinchful of all of it, where you can enjoy the crunchy salt of that check square, where you can enjoy that um, the almost the roof of your mouth injury from the pretzel stick. And then you got that fatty, oily, sort of mash of the cashew there in with it. And whenever those 3 things come together, it just makes for a wonderful mouthful of awesome. And you can keep doing that. And some of that bite is not gonna be great, okay? But the other components make it fun, and the mixture of the 3 make them wonderful. And you can go right back to it, and you don't have to look so hard. And you don't have to stick that finger and kind of sweep around in there. If you just grab a pinch of it and toss it in, chances are the chances are good you're going to have a lot of that in there to do. It's amazing. That's great. That's exactly what you want. Staying present while looking forward is a skill. And just like any other skill, you got to practice it, okay? You've got to be here and now to make sure that you're doing the job that you want to do. And then you've also got to make sure that whenever that just becomes a little bit too much, you think about the fun that you're going to get to have whenever you go to whatever it is you're looking forward to. That's also great. I feel as though I'm getting a little circular here. I feel as though I'm repeating myself, and that's never the intention. It's just one of those things that I hope it's almost like a Meisner exercise. You continue to repeat the thing until it comes to the surface what the crux of what you're really trying to do is. For those folks out there that aren't necessarily folks who've ever taken an acting class, it's like getting a can of really nice, high quality mixed nuts. And you shake it and you shake it and you shake it until you got the pecan or Brazil nut on top. And then you just kind of like grab that one little bit and toss it in. Right after talking about how it's always more better if you pinch and throw in a handful than it is if you just hunt and peck, trying to make sure you get your favorite components. Okay, great. I want to be vacation me during all the other times too. There's a part of me that is heightened, that is fuller, that is more loving, caring, shiny when I'm on a vacation than whenever I'm working. It's not much, to be honest. It is noticeable because there are certain parts of me that just feel as though like I can afford to be bigger, brighter, better. Now, here's another question. What happens if I do that in my regular everyday to day life? Well, number one, I'm going to annoy the ever loving shit out of Mildred in accounting. She hates that. Mildred doesn't like a whole lot of things, if I'm honest. And from what I'm doing, I'm shining that light, hoping that Mildred is going to catch it. And all Mildred is going to do is continue to put up her parasol, put on her bonnet, her sleeves, and add more SPF and grouse about the fact that it is too dang bright in here. Great. That is exactly what I want Mildred to feel. I want her to feel put out. Whenever I live my life fully, even in the bits in between, that's more the present than it is the looking forward. What I want to do is find the joy in that, capital J. Finding joy on your vacation's real simple. Finding that in the holidays, finding that doing the things that absolutely set your soul on fire, man, you couldn't ask for easier homework. Finding the capital J joy in what you must do in order to be a functioning member of our society at times can be a task, especially when Mildred in accounting wants to make sure that it feels like a task. Because God love her, some folks can't fathom it. They can't wrap their head around the fact that the everyday, the mundane, the routine, the stuff you just have to get done can also have a Mary Poppins element of fun. Okay? Because you can. And where that came from, I couldn't tell you, but I love it. Because I'm just like, some people, they find some sort of weird, twisted commiseration medal in making sure that if they're unhappy doing whatever it is they need to do, that they bring everybody with them. Misery loves company. No, I don't know that misery loves a whole lot of shit. They don't love a whole lot of nothing, and that's just the fact of it. And that breaks my heart. I said, because yeah, misery, you know what misery loves? Misery loves to not be misery, not be miserable. I think overcoming that and finding a way to be at bare minimum, just reach an equilibrium spot or to continue to grow into our joy, to find that pride in doing whatever it is that we have to get done before we get to the really good stuff. Okay. Sometimes you got to fake it till you make it. Sometimes you'll find that the fake really wasn't that necessary. You actually found some kind of satisfaction in doing the things that make your everyday commonplace. And wouldn't that be wonderful? Huh? Wouldn't that be an absolute kick in the teeth to know the thing that you just dread doing? God, Monday rolls around like, oh my God, here we go again. Lord, I'm living for the weekend. Yeah. But wouldn't it be great if we could find a way to sort of like flip that on its head just a little bit, to find the things in that that make it not a task, but just something that we kind of have to Brussels sprout our way through to get to dessert. Because after a while, shoot, I love Brussels sprouts. Roast them, throw some bacon in there. That's one of my favorite things. What used to be one of those things, maybe we're just preparing it wrong. Maybe it just needs a few extra ingredients. Maybe it just needs to be approached in a different way whenever we apply heat to it to make it something we can enjoy to eat. That sustenance that really makes it a pleasure instead of a hassle or something you just eat because of what you get out of it. How about that? Huh? Is that something we could do? Is that something that we could approach? I think we could. I would like to do more of that. Whenever I'm doing these kind of things. And here's the thing. I think that the anticipation of it is so much worse than the actual just doing. Right? I think the anticipation oftentimes gets me way more tense and upset than if I just like took a breath, girded my loins, and went into the thick of the fray and got her done. Once I get in there and start wiggling around, I'm like, oh, this wasn't so bad at all. What this was me making it a lot worse than it was because it ain't vacation. It's the other side of vacation. I can still approach it from a way that's going to make this easy and better and something that just must get done in order to earn that cheddar to make sure that bills get paid and food gets ate. You know what I'm saying? It doesn't have to be a drudge, and we don't have to wish away parts of our lives. We spend a lot of time at work. Unless we're lucky enough to have invested wisely or we've reached a point in our lives where we can afford to retire. Work is just part of the gig, okay? And we can either absolutely just hate it, or we can find a way to make it less of a task and more of something that we know has to get done, so we might as well make it good. Might as well be proud of what we do, and we can. We can make this something we're proud of doing. It may not be the whole product, but it can definitely be an element of it that makes you real proud to be who you are, what you do, and how you earn your living. So that's the story, Morning Glories. That's where we're at today. I don't know. This wasn't the clearest path. I'll be honest. What it was a time for both of us to kind of get together and say, hey, you know what? Even the parts of our lives that are not the sparkliest, the shiniest, the most delicious and sugar-coated and glitter-dusted are still important and can still be enjoyed. If this is your first episode, welcome. Thank you so much for being with us today. It's always a pleasure to have our new listeners. Please listen to some of the other things that we have to talk about here in Radical Joy. Sometimes it's more of a work in progress, and sometimes we get to holler and jump a pew and get real excited about all kind of fun things and get out of the other side with maybe, a leaky eyeball or a full heart. This is one of those things where I think it's just one of those things we sort of have to apply to get the good out of it. This is one of those, it's leg day. Until you love it, you hate it. And it's just a work in progress sort of day. If this is not your first episode, welcome back. I'm so glad you're here. Thank you so much for thinking enough of us and the time we get to spend together to come back to be a part of this discussion, this conversation. If you are the review type, I'm begging you, please go to whatever platform where you're listening. Give us a 5-star review. Take a screenshot of that. Send it to us so I can send you a sticker. I would love to thank you for the good press and the share and the love and the high opinion by sending you something that says, we really appreciate you being here and listening and thinking enough of this program to give us a review. It's a sticker you can put on a water bottle, on a journal, you can put it on your car, you can put it on your computer, wherever it is you feel like sticking a sticker, we'd love to send you one. As always, I am so grateful for all of our listeners out there who think enough to download or share us with your friends. So if you're doing that, thank you. If you're not, but you want to, this is the week. Go right ahead. As always, thank you for the time we get to spend together. It means the world to me. This is a huge help to me, and I hope it's at least a little bit of help to you. Love y'all.
The bottom line is, use your words, friends. Thank you for joining us again in this moment of radical joy. If this is your first time, we're so happy you're here. Take a moment to check out our archive. See if there's something else that fires you up, rekindles the joy in you. And hey, spread the word if you enjoyed it. We welcome reviews and messages. Let me know what you want to talk about. I rarely run out of things to say. So if there's something on your mind or heart, I want to hear from you. Don't forget, there is no shame in joy. I am not a therapist or a medical professional. If you're experiencing a mental health emergency, please call 911. This content and other content produced by CLW Studios and affiliated partners is not therapy, and nothing in this content indicates a therapeutic relationship. Any opinions of guests on this podcast are their own and do not represent the opinions of James or CLW Studios. Please consult with your therapist or seek one in your area if you're experiencing mental health symptoms. Anything in this podcast is for educational and entertainment purposes only. Learn more about James and CLW Studios. Follow the link in the show notes. Don't forget to leave a review, and hey, we'll send you a sticker. Just send a screenshot and let us know where you want it sent. Have a great week. Love y'all.